Alright, so here we are. It's April 1st, 2014, and getting the Blue Moon out for her first little run, just under power. She has a whole bunch of crud on her bottom, so I'm hoping just making a little run down the bay will take a lot of that off. That's what usually works anyway. And just to see how the bay is looking. You can see very few boats out here yet. Actually, very few. I think those boats over there were in all winter. And the rest of the mooring field is pretty much empty. There's one little boat over there. But otherwise, I think we're the first one out here this spring. It's been a very late spring. See, the Huntington Yacht Club is still very much asleep. Most of the boats still have their covers on them. Yeah, so it's the first decent day of the summer, or the spring, I guess. And it's perfect timing for us because we had to be out of our winter storage today. So it rained, and actually it snowed all weekend, which is pretty freaky here in New York to have snow so late in the season. But we had, I don't know, an inch or so. Melted right away, of course, because it poured rain afterwards. But today it's not too bad. Not exactly the brightest day, but it's not snowing anyway. So we're just going to run out to the lighthouse and turn around, come back, and hook up to the mooring, which we also put in this weekend, thanks to the very capable mooring crew at the Kittawamoke Yacht Club. Got the mooring pole in, no problem. And so we're all set for the season, I think, except for a whole lot of work. As you can see here, my deck, it's been needing paint for about a year, so now it really needs it. So the plan is I'm going to put teak in the cockpit seats, and all the way around here, and also up in the footwell. That will, number one, make it look a lot nicer, and it should cut down a lot of the maintenance. So I'm going to follow the Gudgeon Brothers instructions on how to laminate teak with epoxy. And it's going to be kind of messy. You got to pull up all that paint to get a good surface to glue down to, but once it's done, it really should be a lot nicer. And then the side decks, that's my other big goal for the winter, for the summer, is to redo these side decks, which the port side deck is pretty nice, actually. Got a couple cracks, but the paint's in fairly good condition. It's a little dirty, but that's not a big deal. But starboard side is a much different story. It's always been the problem side ever since day one. I think it just got overexposed to the sun down in Florida. For some reason, this side got really cooked, and the side deck is not in good shape. It's fine, but the surface of the plywood is cracked, and just really can't maintain paint on it. So the plan is to take all that down to bare wood, and then fiberglass it, basically. Put some epoxy down, and one or two layers of probably just one layer of fiberglass, and then paint over that, and that should give that side deck make it a lot more stable. Make it stable enough to hold paint. That's the big problem, and to stop the leaking. I definitely have some kind of leak. I don't know where really, but somewhere on the deck is a leak. So I'm hoping that if I run the fiberglass up the sides of the coach roof, that'll that'll get rid of that leak. And what else? The bowsprit, of course. Got to get that done sometime this year. And another big problem area that I want to take care of this year is right on the port aft quarter. I don't know what happened. This was here before I bought the boat. But at some point, something went bad on there, and somebody did a really crummy repair job. See, that's just a piece of wood kind of wedged in there somehow, and it leaks. And got a little, probably have a little bit of rot in there, so I want to get that piece out and scarf in a new piece. A little neater than, oops, don't want to run over somebody's winter stick. Do a little bit neater job than the last person who did it, whoever that was. It lasted all these years, but it really needs some work. And that is probably all I'm going to get done this summer, but if I can get all that done, that would be a superb summer. What I'm not going to do is work in the spring or the fall. I made that mistake the last few years where I wasted the whole spring working on the boat, and then by the time I was ready to do some sailing, it was July and August, and I was too darn hot and no wind, so that wasn't too bright. So taking a lesson from that, I am going to sail in the spring when there's some decent wind, and then when we get into our traditional summer doldrums, I'll have the boat hauled out on land and do that work, because I also want to get some bottom paint on. It's been a couple years since I've seen the bottom, so yeah, probably need another coat or two of bottom paint. This is Huntington Harbor here that we're in. This is where William Atkin had his boat shop and did a lot of power boating in the heyday of speedboats, 1913 or so. Probably hasn't changed too much, except it's dredged a lot better. There were mud flats and things in William's day, but now it's fairly deep. Pretty much right to the beach you can go, because there's such a demand for moorings. So it's been pretty well dredged. This is the main channel we're in right now, but it's quite deep on either side of us. And we have some multi-million-dollar houses here. Let's see there. That's, I believe, Mariah Carey's house, which she never tires of remodeling. It looks different every year. Last year it didn't have stone on it, but this year it does, and looks like a completely different house, but it's not the same house, just with another $1 million or so thrown into the exterior. So I guess she has the money. And they're probably equally wealthy neighbors, but I don't know their names. That's Helena's favorite house right there on the beach there. Almost looks like a ship with portholes and decks and things like that. That's in one of the older houses. Pretty nice. And there's the Huntington Lighthouse. Historic Huntington Lighthouse. With, I think, their Christmas wreath still up. Which is interesting, considering it's April. Guess the tide is going out. So here we are. Yep, I was right. They still got their Christmas wreath up. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Guess nobody wanted to come out in the middle of the winter and take it down. Can't blame them. It's run now by a non-profit organization. They run tours out there. But it still is operational. It's still a Coast Guard lighthouse. It's just not, it's maintained privately now though. I believe, anyway. Mainly because the Coast Guard wanted to knock it down and replace it with a pole with a light on top of it. But some local nice people pitched in and somehow saved it. Fixed it up and kept it from falling down. Not a particularly attractive lighthouse as lighthouses go, but it's been here for a long time. Well, that is our tour of Huntington Harbor and Huntington Bay. Hope to be out here fairly soon, doing some real sailing. And I hope everybody out there is getting ready for the season.